Welcome to Hashtag General, the show where the host is not paying close enough attention to his cues. I'm that host who's not paying close enough attention to the cues. Logan Steely joining me as always, the person who would probably be paying attention and smacking me in the shoulder if we weren't still doing this remotely. Chris Akamura, how you doing, Chris?
Pretty good. No, you overestimate my abilities to pay attention.
The truth is, you and I would both be like either talking or on our phones or something, and then James would probably
Yeah.
like have to like chuck. I have like one of those old. I have an Angry Birds plush, and I should just give it to James for those moments where I'm not paying enough attention to when he's about to throw his slide, so he could just like Angry Birds me.
Yeah, just those moments.
Just those moments. That's the only time I will let you have it. Is right before we start taping, because otherwise, James will probably use it all the time.
Yeah, remember how big Angry Birds was for a minute?
Remember how Angry Birds the movie was just 2 years too late? Like if it had come out 2 years earlier, it would have been the biggest thing ever. It's so crazy how
Yeah.
quickly it was, how huge it was, and then just how quickly it kind of just went away.
It was massive.
Yeah. Like,
All right.
I played it, my mom played it, like, I think my sister played it. It just like, it seemed like everyone played it. It was like, it was the game on the phone for the longest time. And by longest time, I mean like, what would you say, like 18 months?
Maybe like 2 years.
Yeah.
'Cause remember, because they had like the Star Wars one too.
Yeah. And like it's just like one of those things where they had like, they somehow caught lightning in a bottle and it just never, like they were never able to grow from it. Like, what's the last thing that company has made that wasn't an Angry Birds like spinoff?
Rovio, right?
I think Rovio, right?
I want to say Rovio, but yeah, I don't know.
Let's look it up. I'm actually intrigued. Let's see. Okay.
Because I remember at their peak, they were making like
Dude, that
it
thing was
felt
making.
like
Didn't
it
it make
felt
over
like
a billion?
yeah, but remember they made a Star Wars one. They made like about a million spin-offs of like just different themed Angry Bird games.
Oh, wait. They opened a studio in 2017 focusing on MMOs.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see. Games developed a whole bunch of stuff that I don't think anyone, because it seems like Angry Birds was their first big thing because
Sure, makes sense.
well, they had been all like purely in the mobile space, and it wasn't until the iPhone where I feel like mobile games went from being Snake to look at the shiny actual game.
Yeah.
As much as I enjoy Snake. Let's see. Angry Birds, Angry Birds, Angry Birds. Apparently they made the tie-in game for the Croods. Angry Birds, Angry Birds. My God, there's like maybe 3 titles
That aren't Angry Birds.
that aren't Angry Birds since 2009.
Jesus. Could you imagine like being at that studio? Be like, yeah, I'm gonna make all kinds of different games. And your boss comes in, and you're like, all right, guys, new project, Angry Birds, and you're
Birds.
like, yeah, that's exciting. And then like 10 years later, you're like,
I have no soul.
yeah. And then he's like, yeah, you guys, new project. You're like, is it not Angry Birds? And they're like, of course not. Here's more
It's
Angry Birds.
it's Star Wars Angry Birds. Like it's the same reason why I get why Bungie, after about 10 years of Halo, was just like, nope.
Yeah.
Like, it isn't that you don't care about the story so much as you're like, I need to do something else. But yeah. Talk about a rut. But yeah, no, we haven't been playing Angry Birds. What have you been watching and playing, Chris?
Uh, I mean, kind of same old, same old. We're getting real close to all of our like kind of event season at work, so I'm gonna be traveling a lot over the next like 3 weeks. So I've been kind of just like chilling out, playing the games I've normally been playing. I bought Mario Party, the new
Yeah.
one, which is probably the best Mario Party I've played in the last like the last like decade of Mario Party games, like this is the best one in like a decade, which is like insane to say. Um, and so like we've been doing a ton of that, and then just kind of playing what I've usually been playing, just sort of getting ready for work and stuff like that. Like, playing stuff in the background while I'm working on stuff.
Yeah.
And then yeah, watching nothing really. I was super excited for Arcane, so I know we're gonna talk about that later, and like that blew my mind. But
Yeah,
yeah,
no, we're back on the Valheim kick. Right before broadcast, I was telling Chris he needs to jump on our server. Um, like Jeff and I were talking about it this morning. This is how much we play the game. Jeff and I have had multiple conversations, just like when we're, like on a break between work or like making lunch, and we just run into each other, and the conversation will inevitably be like, "So, I was thinking in the base, we need to do this." And it's just
oh
like
no,
it is all consuming, and I love it.
it's so funny.
It's for a $20 early access game. I'm actually gonna look up Steam. I wonder how many hours I'm at. Let's see.
You're not gonna like the answer.
Oh, I know I'm not gonna like the answer. By the way, Jeff is in Valheim right now. Let's see. Where am I? Valheim. I'm at 120 hours in
That's not
Valheim,
bad.
which isn't bad. I know there are people out there who are in like 400 to 500 hours.
Yeah, that's not bad at all.
Yeah.
Because you've been playing for months.
Yeah, we've been playing for months, and it's just
Yeah.
like. But the thing is what will happen be like this weekend where we've just sunk a lot of time into it just because everyone. Because the nice thing too is we have it set up where we're running it off of a server we have that James has. And so we can kind of just log in and play whenever. So it doesn't have to be like, I'm hosting, so I have to be on in order to play. You can
Yeah,
jump on the server whenever. Like I could send you the information. And you could just jump on, and no one has to be there with you.
yeah.
Which means that it's oftentimes and you mentioned this mentioned it. It's like we will ping our the Discord that we run that in, and they'll be just like for the past few days. There's been hey, I'm jumping on Valheim. Anyone want to join me? And then like 3 people will jump on. So it's been fun. But yeah, I think that's a big thing is that I've also been watching a lot of hockey and subjecting poor James to hockey because ESPN Plus now has hockey and Seattle now has a team. So I've been watching the Kraken lose.
Kraken are great.
It feels like they're still trying to gel. Like they're still like figuring some stuff out. Because there are moments where I feel like there's always about like a period and a half of gameplay where in each game where you look at them and you're like, holy crap, this team is just dominating. The problem is they can't keep that consistently, and they're not good enough at actually getting the puck behind the net. So they'll get like 30 shots on goal and maybe 1 goal in. Which is not uncommon, but it's just like it's that way every night where they'll be like, if you look at the stats, they'll be outplaying the other team, but the other team has like better scorers, so the other team might only have like 15 shots on goal, but they'll end up winning because 2 of them went in, whereas Seattle would have like 35 shots on goal and only 1 would go in. So they don't have a strong enough offense, and they are like just inconsistent in terms of their play, where it sometimes just feels like they don't show up until like partway through the game, and then they will slowly fade towards the end of the game, because usually their second periods have been like amazing to watch, and then everything else is just like, oh come on. But yeah, poor James has had to endure the fact that I will have hockey on multiple nights a week now.
Sorry,
Um,
James. Although at least the Kraken have some fantastic branding.
oh yeah, some amazing branding. I'm not wearing it, but I love my Seattle Kraken T-shirt.
Yeah,
It just, and even like, yes, it's a play on the meme, and it is getting played, but like, release the Kraken.
yeah,
But yeah, my family, we've been talking about possibly doing, because my parents and sister, they're in the Northwest. They're in Idaho, so it's not close. So it'd have to be a trip. But we've been talking about doing like a weird weekend family trip to Seattle just to go to a game. Like I
that'd
fly
be
up, they
cool.
fly over, and it'd just be like, that would be so much fun. Because that arena also looks amazing.
Yeah, it looks awesome.
So I'd love to catch a game there, even if they weren't like my new home team type thing. I would want to catch a game there because the arena just looks like it's a fun and well put together arena. But
Speaking of that, have you visited SoFi yet?
I have not,
It's
because
incredible.
football and me, I understand the rules because I've had to watch football, or I knew enough people who watch football, but it's never been like the game I throw on. Like,
Yeah, but
but
like you got to go to like an event there, or like some like you got to get find a reason to go to SoFi. It's so cool looking.
yeah, I've heard good things about it. That it's like I've seen like the pictures I've seen. It looks like it's a like amazing
Yeah,
arena
it's an
or
incredible kind of
stadium.
place to be at. Yeah,
But yeah, I'll have to check that out sometime. It's the problem is it's not conveniently located on Metro, is it?
no, I don't think so.
I wonder if like the Green Line expansion is going to connect to it or
I would
something.
I would assume they would connect them eventually. It's just beneficial for everyone if it is.
Yeah, but it also like not surprising at all if it is.
Yeah,
uh
I mean it makes sense. It's just like it would help so much, right?
yeah, but I'll have to check it out. What did you go see there? Was it just like a Rams game or?
I've gone for a couple things. Like my dad has gone for a ton of concerts. But they did like a vaccination thing there. That I was just an excuse to go down there. You know, it was a
Like I
vac
want to check
center.
this out, so I'm gonna go.
Yeah, it was just like it was a vac center. So I was like, oh, let's go down there and see what's up.
That's a good excuse.
Yeah,
No,
I mean, it's
it's
important. It's important. Get your vaccines.
yes. Get your vaccine, everyone. I have two proofs of vaccination on my phone, so you guys, it's clearly not that hard.
Yeah,
No, apparently, yeah. The health app, if you can integrate it with your health provider, well, actually, Apple will generate a vaccine barcode.
yeah. I
So
have I have a couple QR codes on my phone that have my vax card on them.
no,
So that's
but
super cool.
everyone, get your vaccine. If you haven't received a vaccine, go get your vaccine.
Yes.
Um, Otherwise, we're going to be wearing masks forever, and it's your fault. There, I said it. Get your vaccine. Shall we move on from vaccination
Yeah,
corner and sports ball corner?
I'm down.
All right. So, in the big news in tech, Apple's new MacBook Pros came out, and oh
Yes.
boy, they look amazing.
Yeah, you went kind of nuts.
Yeah, I personally went kind of nuts. I have show and tell. You don't have the camera, Chris, but for those on camera, here is my shiny new. I got a MacBook Pro.
Insanity.
So this is actually something James and I had been talking for a while because he had, after I got the MacBook Air, he kind of was like, "Why do you have the MacBook and the iMac?" And when I bought the MacBook Air, it was literally just like I need a computer for when I'm traveling so I can work.
Sure.
And I wasn't thinking of it as I need a computer that can be my work computer and like my video editing computer and can like handle all the things. So I just bought the baseline MacBook Air and just went, okay, this is honestly, for the most people out there, if you only do like light video editing or like seriously, I'm talking about a base model MacBook and light video editing and being like, it's fine. Like it is, that MacBook Air is a beast for $1,000. But I did want a bit more oomph and was interested in like a MacBook Pro if I was going to do what James has suggested, which was get rid of the iMac and the MacBook Air and replace them with a MacBook Pro. So the iMac is actually in the midst of its last hurrah. It's running the broadcast today, and then that's probably going to be the last big thing it does. The screen is amazing. Like I remember we were texting about it, and I told you flat out, like, you can't just look at the video online. You can't just look at photos. Like you have to see the screen in person to actually appreciate it. Because like the MacBook Air, iPads, like Apple screens have always been good, but this is one of those cases where like HDR just looks amazing on it. I played just as like a test on the first day. I was just like, I wonder how this looks. I threw on what's becoming one of my a good test film just because it's so just rich with color and visual is Last Jedi. Especially sequences around like the battle on Crate, the Holdo maneuver, that lightsaber battle in the throne room. There's a lot there that you can judge, and my God, that screen is just fantastic. And it just like the design of it too. Like I remember being like in middle school and high school and coveting like the titanium Mac or PowerBook, not MacBook, but the PowerBook. James, do you remember those at all?
I do. But thou shalt not covet, Logan.
I was covetous. I sinned. But this has like a similar design where it's a little more blocky compared to like the weird arrow tapering that MacBooks have had for the past decade. It feels super sturdy. Like you pick it up and you're like, oh shit, this is a thing. It feels great. It looks great. I've done a bit of video editing as a test, and it just is handling it just fine. Anytime I was having issues, it's because like Sony AVC HD has always been a pain in the ass, and no amount of power you throw at it is going to change the fact it's a pain in the ass. And you're still like, but it just was like, it's a solid machine. And just the benchmarking, like I did a bit of benchmarking and I ran Geekbench while the thing was unplugged. So it just was running on battery power. And it beat Spectre, my gaming rig that I built last year. It beat it for CPU score for both single-threaded and multi-threaded performance. And it was on battery power.
My God.
That's, I think, the craziest thing about
What did Apple make?
That's, I think, the craziest thing about them. It isn't that they are outperforming like AMD and Intel by like, even though it isn't like by like magnitudes in terms of compute. What it is doing though is it is outperforming them at like a fraction of the power pull. Like everyone's talking about how big the like I think it's Alder Lake with Intel. Like, oh man, Intel's back. And I think the ones that they're testing and they're showing off are pulling like 300 watts. It's just mind-boggling because Apple's doing it in their laptop with no, like, it is actively cooled, but it's like so power efficient that they literally are able to do what I said. I remember in conversations saying that I thought this is what Apple was going to do, where they could just throw processors at the problem. Like they can just keep since they control the entire stack, they can just keep adding processors and more and more and more processors. And that's kind of what they did with the Pro Max and the Pro whatever on the M1 because their naming is terrible. Because I think it's M1 Pro and M1 Max, and it's basically just like it's a die chop. And all the rumors are saying is that basically like the Mac Pro is basically like take 2 of the M1 Maxes, and that's going to be like your entry level Mac Pro. And it's just like that thing's going to scream. Because for now, because Apple, again, because they control the entire stack, they can go into like, well, let's have just multiple processors, which is something that is kind of our like old school in methodology. Like, I don't think we've seen multiple processors in a computer in a while. Like, everyone went from multiple processors to the core system where you basically had processors within processors. And it's just Apple they can just throw processors at it. And it's insane. Because the MacBook Pro I have, so this is another thing for comparison, it beat my gaming rig. I have the base level one. I have the one where a GPU, 2 GPU cores and 2 CPU cores have been disabled because they weren't up to par. Like, I have the $2,000 MacBook Pro. I do not have like one of the higher up ones. Like, this is the one you would if you could get it in LA. If you went into the Apple store and you're just like, I want a one base level 14-inch MacBook Pro, please. This is the one they'd give you. And it's just screaming. But yeah.
It's pretty insane.
They're crazy good. And you know what? I'm going to just say it. I don't really notice the notch.
Yeah,
I think a lot of it is because of the phone.
Yeah, like I was not an anti-notch guy with my iPhone, so like I don't. It doesn't bother me.
Yeah, because I remember it seems like a lot of people were complaining about it, but I also noticed it seemed like the people complaining the loudest about it were often in like the Windows space or where Windows was their primary machine. And I'm just like, well, do you know what? That's why they're sitting there going, why are you getting rid of my screen real estate? Because I'm from the Mac community where we've always had like the top part of the screen lost to the menu bar.
Yeah.
So like to me, I'm like, oh, it's just like part of the menu bar is black. Whoop-de-doo. Doesn't really impact. It's dead space to me already, and it just meant that they could get the screen all the way to like the edges and the bezels. It's just, it seriously looks so good. But getting one right now is like a pain in the ass. If you order one, I don't know have you looked at all, Chris?
No, I haven't even tried. I know better.
If I ordered one, a stock model, you cannot get them in store in Los Angeles right now. Or at least you couldn't when I bought mine.
Right, makes sense.
And if you order them from Apple, it would take over a month to ship. Which is similar to what happened when the MacBook Airs first came out last year. Where I remember ordering some for work, and it took them over a month to ship. The only way you could get you can only get base spec models, and the only way you can get them is getting base spec and ordering it through this weird delivery with setup, which is Apple has contracted out to a third-party company, which was actually founded by Ron Johnson, who used to run Apple stores, or the Apple Store division. And so it's kind of like they're supposed to do we'll do a bring the store to you type of a thing. But since it's the only way you can get a MacBook Pro in Los Angeles, the guy told me, he's like, yeah, I couldn't figure out why I'm getting so many MacBooks. I'm like, this is the only way you can get them. So they're basically being like driving up and people are like, yeah, I don't need setup. Just give me the computer. And
it's so funny.
So yeah, that's the only reason I was able to get mine, because in my case, I'm trading in my iMac, which Apple gave me like what I would consider a pretty decent rate for it. I'm selling my MacBook Air to my sister, and basically by the time it's all said and done, I'm only really paying the price difference between the MacBook Air and the MacBook Pro to make the upgrade by the time all of like the financial stuff gets like sorted out and settled. So it was just kind of like it wasn't like my pocketbook took a major hit that it wouldn't have taken if I hadn't bought the MacBook Air. So it kind of balanced out in that sense. But I'm very happy with the machine so far. I've only been really had it was delivered Friday morning, and because I had to do stuff for work off the MacBook Air, because of course I couldn't really transfer anything over, yesterday was really the first day I could do anything with it, and the results of that work will be seen later today. But yeah, no, I'm very happy, and it's just like, it's weird to realize that Apple is like the king of the computer processor market right now. Like, it's what I find crazy too is, have you looked at gaming benchmarks on the MacBook Pros? I doubt it.
I looked up a little bit, but like, I just never trust Macs to run like gaming processor like stuff anyway. So like, I always take a look and I'm like, oh, okay. Or I read the review blurbs of like the sentence or two that talk about gaming.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem is, of course, Apple. It's the whole package type thing where, because Apple doesn't support gaming the way Microsoft does, it doesn't matter that Apple has these amazing systems. Apple just doesn't have the support structure or the community for it. So gaming is just always going to take a hit. But the thing I found interesting was people were testing games, running it in parallels or using crossover, which basically just will run game in a wine wrapper. So they're running Windows games through like virtualization or some other means on a Mac. And like, you weren't getting, like, you couldn't run things on like high or ultra, but they were able to run like Witcher 3 on like, I think high or medium settings on 1080p on the base level MacBook Pro, and we're getting like 70 frames a second.
Yeah.
And it's just like kind of crazy to think about. Like, that's how much processing power those machines have. It's not that they're good for gaming. It's that they can run the virtualized version of a game at decent specs. And it's just like not native. It's just,
yeah.
That's what's bonkers about them. I would not recommend these for gaming.
Okay, good to know.
I'm sure they would be great for gaming if Apple actually gave a shit. But Apple doesn't.
Yeah. No. They never have.
And they never have. And yeah, I don't think they ever will. But yeah, they're fantastic. But enough of me talking about how awesome MacBooks are. Do you have any questions, or should we just keep on going?
No, I just want to see it. Like, for me, it's always about the visual of like seeing it and holding it. Like, I haven't gone to an Apple store since I picked up my watch, so like, I haven't seen it at all. So I'm so curious.
Yeah, let me know when you do see it. Or if anything, you could just come over here and see it. But yeah, let's move on to our little bits of Star Wars news.
Yeah.
Star Wars. What did you think of the Boba Fett teaser?
I liked it. I thought like I just want to be in that universe more, and like the Mandalorian side that they've kind of created here. I like the idea of the underground stuff or the underworld stuff. The thing is, like, I'm very much like, I was so into the Star Wars, whatever, 1414 thing that they were gonna do, and like, to me, this is like just the TV show version of what that game was gonna be, or what I expected it to be.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I just want to see more of it.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the thing where I'm like, I didn't need the teaser, not in the sense of like, I didn't think the teaser wasn't fun to watch. It's just more of I'm already so sold on this idea of the show. Like,
Yeah.
all the teaser I needed was what we got at the end of Mandalorian last season, where he walks in, he takes care of Baby Fortuna, and is just like, haha, I'm now in charge. To where this was just more of like, to me, watching this was just like more of like a hype thing, like a reminder of, don't forget, this shit's coming at you in like 2 months.
Yeah.
To where like, I think I only watched it like maybe twice. Because at the same time, I was just like... Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I only watched it as like a cool, okay, it's happening, and I watched it again just to show people.
Yeah,
and that's about it.
I didn't do it to show anyone. I watched it again just to be like, okay, I want to see it again. But I also at the same time didn't really want to dive too deep into it and start going all analytical. I've noticed, especially with Star Wars, I've been that way more and more about some of the trailers and teasers where instead of, obsessing over what the trailer might be showing and trying to figure it out, being more like, cool, this looks awesome. I'm not going to think about it too much because I want to watch the show when it comes out and be, pleasantly entertained.
Sure.
So it just was, for me, a lot of it was just hype of, oh yeah, we're getting Boba Fett. Like, we're going to get like a full freaking Boba Fett show, essentially.
Right.
And I'm all in on it. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm excited. I mean, like, it's a really cool trailer, and I want to see a little more, like, it feels like Mandalorian, but like the adult Mandalorian, if that makes sense. Like,
I agree. Like, I saw one person, they were trying to be like, it's the Star Wars Godfather.
it pretty much is, which is super cool.
So I'm excited to see it. And I saw someone tweet out, I forget who, I think it was Brian Young, tweet out like the Book of Boba Fett is like a show I would be totally okay with not getting a trailer for. And I kind of, after watching this, I'm like, you know what, I'm kind of in that same boat. Like we said, I didn't need the trailer to be sold on the show. The trailer just got me more hype. So yeah, I'm excited. And of course, we will be talking about it in incredible depth in January after the shows came out. But we got one other bit of Star Wars news, and I kind of want your thoughts on this, what you think they're going to do. So it came out a couple weeks ago before we had the technical issues last broadcast. Hayden Christensen is going to be in Ahsoka. And no one is clear on if it's like, is this going to be flashback? Is this going to be Ghost Anakin? Who knows? Like, what do you think? I'm going to stop talking and let you say what you think.
Well,
I know we were all shocked.
Chris, did we lose you? Wait, did we lose him?
He's still logged in.
Well, can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, for me, I think it'll be a mix of everything. I think like you don't do something like this without having like without using it to its fullest, right? So like I could see him being Vader, I could see him in like a flashback sequence, I could see him as a Force ghost. Like I think the door's wide open, and I could see them doing multiple ways. And like I don't see this happening, but it would be pretty cool to have him as like a co-lead almost, where like he's just with Ahsoka the entire time, as like a ghost or as a figure in the background.
Did you ever read of the A New Hope version of From a Certain Point of View, the book, where they had a bunch of different authors write different stories set within the A New Hope story from like different perspectives?
No.
Claudia Gray, who's I'd say like the best author writing Star Wars, she wrote one that took place after Luke left Obi-Wan to go back to the homestead after he realizes that the Sandcrawler had been hit by Imperial stormtroopers.
Right.
And so Obi-Wan's just sitting there, and there's a whole conversation he has with Qui-Gon. And it's
wait, you told me about this.
Yeah, I think I've told you about this one. I would be totally down for that being how it's handled in Ahsoka, where it's just Anakin there with her the entire time, like you just said, where he's like a co-lead. Like, I am so down for that. I wonder if it's going to be flashback. Are we going to get Clone Wars flashbacks? I also wonder if he's playing Vader. Are we gonna get like a live action of that of that fight they had on Malachor? Like, are we gonna see like an Ezra Bridger going screaming in the background as like the doors close? Like, I don't know. There's plenty of possibilities there. But I'm just glad Hayden Christensen is kind of getting his due. Like,
Yes.
I feel like the community has realized that a lot of the irritation we have had around some aspects of the prequels aren't him. Like, he was playing like a whiny, angsty teenager and then like an adult who was still like a bit angsty. And it also was just like the dialogue. Like, you have Academy Award winning, Academy Award nominated actors just struggling with some of those sequences. So, like, how can we sit here and be like, Hayden Christensen's a bad actor?
Yeah.
And so I'm glad he's getting his due. Though it's going to be weird for me because I think I've told you this before, where whenever I imagine Anakin in my head, I hear Matthew Lanter's voice now.
Yes.
So every time I hear or watch the movies and it's Hayden Christensen, I'm like, that doesn't sound right. But I'm glad he's going to be an Obi-Wan. I'm glad he's going to be an Ahsoka. It's the Hayden Christensen comeback parade.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's great.
So
he deserves his due.
Yeah. But no, I can't wait. By the way, there is rumor that we're going to get an Obi-Wan teaser as part of the upcoming Disney Plus day. So
yeah, I'm waiting for it.
I'm sure we'll talk about it. Because this is, of course, the Star Wars show by Quality 3. Let's move on to TV, and you can explain to me why I should watch Arcane. I did watch the trailers after you texted me.
Oh man,
and the animation looks amazing. But I also don't know like the lore of League of Legends to where I can tell you what was.
I don't know where to start. Like, man. So obviously, Arcane is Riot's kind of first step in like really, really doing. I don't even want to say like fleshing out because like they've done fleshing out before. It's like Riot's first step of like, man, it's like Riot's first step of like doing longer form content. Like no, because they've built their universe before. Like they have music videos, they have like lore videos,
oh, yeah, like KDA
they have like
and all that.
Yeah, like they have all of this stuff that like builds out this universe already. So okay, the best way I was talking to a lot of people that work at Riot, and a lot of my friends that work at Riot, and it's a thing of Riot sees Arcane as like this step where they no longer are a video game company, where they're now a multimedia company, where now they're going to do shows and movies, and they have toys, and they have all kinds of stuff that's not video game related.
It makes sense.
It's taking the League of Legends IP and taking it out of games and making it a multimedia brand rather than just a video game, right?
It's a smart move,
right? And this is the thing of like with Blizzard. Remember, Blizzard tried to do this right away with Overwatch, like within a couple years, right? Where Riot took the time, like they took over a decade of like building this goodwill and building this universe out so that there is proper backstory and there is everything ready to go. Like, I don't know how much you know, but like every character in League of Legends has a 3 to 5 page like lore history about their background.
I mean, I don't know their lore and background, but I know that level of depth exists.
Yeah. So and then they all at some point like they intermingle and like there's cities and there's towns and there's places of this world that like exist, right? I can't explain to you why you should watch Arcane, but I will say that it's probably the best thing Riot has done. So they're releasing them in 3-episode chunks. So these like what they're calling like arcs, right? So like they have 3 arcs, so over the next 3 weeks. So the first 3 episodes are out now, and like there's a lot of people that are like, so Fion Fire is a esports writer. He used to work at ESPN, now he works at Up and Comer. Um, the he tweeted something the other day of like, I always thought League of Legends lore was trash and I never cared about it and I thought it was stupid. And like Arcane has completely changed my mind and I've spent 3 hours reading League of Legends lore now. Like it's that kind of thing where even if you don't like the lore or you don't know what it is, like just give it a shot. And I guarantee, like the way that they tell the storytelling, the story that they picked to tell is one of my favorites in the lore. And it involves all. So maybe I'm a little biased because like it involves all of my most of my favorite characters, and it's like it's one of the most compelling stories in the lore. And they're really fleshing it out. So like there's a lot of stuff in it that they're filling the gaps of. We're like, all we're getting is the blurbs, right, of each character and like where they come from. And so obviously, within that lore, there's holes that need to be filled in. So they're filling those holes, and it comes together beautifully. And the art, like you said, the art style's fantastic. The voice acting's great. They got some talented voice actors that you know really well. It stars Haley Steinfeld. Haley Steinfeld's the lead character in the thing. Really funny story too. If you look at her Twitter, she just tweeted the other day, "Arcane, Arcane, Arcane," and all the responses were Hawkeye, Hawkeye, Hawkeye. Which I thought was really funny. But yeah, that's sort of where we were at. Like the they flesh out this world in such a beautiful way that like I think it's worth anyone watching and sitting there and giving it a shot.
I'm just looking up her Twitter.
Yeah, so it's like she said she was like Arcane, 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 and everyone was like Hawkeye, Hawkeye, Hawkeye.
Oh man, it's like all Arcane and Dickinson and nothing about Hawkeye yet.
Yeah, it's so funny.
By the way, I still need to watch Dickinson. I've actually been, that's one of those shows on Apple TV Plus that I've actually been wanting to watch, but I haven't gotten to yet. But no, like I watched the trailers and it just was like visually, I was intrigued enough just by the visuals of the story that I was just like, oh man, this looks cool enough that I'd give it a shot. And I think this is gonna be the big question, and that we will eventually know the answer to. Is this going to be the thing that helps them break out, where they start to be bigger than just what they are as a video game?
Yes,
Or
I
is
would say
this,
yes.
or because on the flip side is Blizzard, not only did Blizzard try this with Overwatch, they also kind of tried it with Warcraft, to look at the Warcraft movie.
Yeah,
Where
I think
it just,
this is better done than the
yeah,
Warcraft movie. This is beautiful.
yeah, the Warcraft movie is so many questions I have about that movie and their thought process, because I remember watching it going, I don't hate it, but I also can't tell you like what just happened. Like I don't, there's so much here that hasn't been explained to me, because I almost was like they expect me to know the story already, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll see, because I think the other flip side to this too is Riot is thankfully pushing this hard, but since it's on Netflix, we know how Netflix handles some stuff. Thankfully, Riot, again, they're big enough that they don't need the oomph from Netflix, but every little bit counts in those senses, or in that sense. So we shall see. I'll give it a watch, and we'll come back. So we will come back to this and discuss it further.
Yeah. I'm so curious what you think. And again, like it's this thing where like just give the first episode a shot and like it grabs you very quickly. It is extremely compelling very, very quickly. And I'm very proud to say like it it is yeah, like it's really kind of a special thing that they made here. And I'm very curious of like how it's gonna do. But like from what I've seen, there's a lot of people out there, and like this is super important for like their longevity, where it's a thing where they need to start picking people or picking up things that are people that don't play League of Legends, right? Like get people that don't play League of Legends very interested in this world and in this universe, and I think this does this beautifully.
Yeah, I think they're at the adapt or die state.
Yeah,
As a
and like
company.
look, they have proven that they're able to do that all the time.
Yeah,
Like
I would say like they're at the adapt or die state as a company, but they've been doing such a fantastic job of it. Just look at Valorant, and now with Arcane, and the way you're talking about it, it seems like they're making the pivot from we're the League of Legends company to we are this multi. They can handle multiple projects, multiple stories, multiple types of media. They needed to make that move, otherwise, you can't bank on League of Legends forever. Even if it goes on forever, you can't make that you cannot
no. Then you get
go.
to the
Yeah.
Blizzard thing of like, yeah, you're just running off of nostalgia fuel
Yeah, and look at what's
forever.
happened with Blizzard. And I'm not talking just about all of the bullshit with their sexual harassment problems. Like, Blizzard's output as a game studio has been incredibly stagnant.
Yeah,
So, you don't want to be them. And if they were just the League of Legends company, we're going to run into that.
yeah.
Cool. I'll give that a shot. But let's move on to the thing you've seen and I haven't. Eternals. What did you think? This is kind of just more of a we can discuss it more the next time.
Yes. So
Um,
I loved it, and I don't. So okay, this is twofold. I Part of me doesn't understand why it's getting so much like flack, right? Because I think it's a beautiful film. I think it's incredibly well made. I think it's really well paced. I think the only thing that I will say is it almost doesn't feel like a Marvel movie.
I honestly, though, after you saying that, one of the theories I had for its low return reviews, based after hearing, because well, I haven't seen it. Like I know you've seen it. I've heard other people have seen it. They go, yeah, I had low expectations, but I really enjoyed it. I wonder how much of it is the same problem like Last Jedi have had almost in a sense where instead of making the cookie cutter film, Ryan Johnson made a film set in Star Wars, and Chloe Zhao, I was wondering if she did the same thing where instead of making a Marvel movie, she made a film set in the Marvel universe. Do you think that's a fair statement?
Yeah, like so the thing is, it is. I had this debate with someone when after they saw it. It. Some people think it's a lot of action. It is to me when I watched it. It is almost like 80% character study and like relationship study, more so than like action set piece. And like the action set pieces are like there and there are kind of important, but like they're not like a major focus in the film. And the thing is like the movie, like Marvel films have a certain amount of fun and pace, and like this has like the comedic beats every once in a while. Like you have Kumail Nanjiani in a movie, like he's gonna be funny, right?
Yeah.
But like those aren't like it doesn't have the same like what's the word, like quippiness of like a Marvel movie.
Yeah,
Like
they
it's not
they
quip.
they removed
It's
the
not.
Whedon touch that has been in Marvel films since the first Avengers movie.
Yeah, like it's not quippy, which is like I don't think is a bad thing. I think it's a great thing. I think like yeah, this is what this movie is, and it doesn't really like Marvel movies famously ramp too. Like here's what happens, and they slowly ramp up into like this huge climax, right?
Hmm.
The thing with this movie, it never really ramps. It like stays at a pretty consistent pace, which like keeps the flow really nice because like you're never too high, you're never too low, you're never bored. But like it never feels like you're ramping towards something. It just feels like, oh, I'm just watching these characters do stuff and like explore whatever. And like it's super fascinating and fun to watch. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I think we're also seeing like this has been I've seen more people talk about this. The double-edged sword of Rotten Tomato scores being a metric to determine like the value of a film is if you make a film that 90% of critics like and 90% of the audience likes, it isn't that those films are necessarily bad so much as you start appealing for the lowest common denominator and you
Yeah.
start getting like I enjoy Marvel movies, but like we've said, they have a very established pattern. Like you
Yeah.
know, going into like Shang-Chi, there was going to be a big third act fight,
Yeah.
and kind of how it would play out. Of course, there's surprises along the way. It doesn't always follow the way you expect, but it, more or less follows the pattern. When you break away from those patterns, or you're willing to take a risk on something that doesn't necessarily appeal to everybody, but you want to make like a stronger film, you might get a lower rating, but make it like a better film. And that's why I was just like, what I was wondering with Eternals is I'm like, I wonder if it's just falling into that space where because it doesn't necessarily fit the popcorn mold that Marvel has done, but instead try to do something new. Maybe that's why everyone's kind of poo-pooing it because it's not exactly the same as everything else, which makes some people probably upset. But also at the same time, it means that they were probably taking risks. And you know what? Marvel has needed to do that for a while. As much as I enjoy Marvel movies and I think they're making the right steps with some of their TV stuff to actually grow beyond just their cookie cutter, they've needed to start playing and expanding how their movies go. And so if they're willing to do that with Eternals, great. That's needed to happen. And of course, I will have more thoughts on that once I see it. But that was kind of my takeaway when I first saw the Rotten Tomato scores. I'm like, you know what? I hope this is a good sign that this means that they're actually willing to play and experiment rather than stick to the formula. So I find your appraisal of it actually rather, promising. So
Yeah, again, like I don't necessarily think it is like the greatest thing ever, but I don't think it deserves like the shit that it was getting for like being a flop. I don't see it that way at all.
yeah, I'm sure I'll enjoy it when I go see it.
Yeah, I'd say like you're the kind of person that would really like see the value of it and I'd really enjoy it. So,
Perfect. I'll have to go check it out. Speaking of going and checking out things, let's move on to our final topic. Because, I don't know, have you seen it already? I'm assuming you have.
what?
Dune.
Oh, okay. No, I have not seen Dune, but I know a lot about Dune because I had to read it I don't know how many times in school.
Wait, you had to read it in school?
I did.
Wow, that's not a book I would have expected as a school reading.
Yeah, I had to read a lot of Dune. I remember I took a lot of like AP and like college level courses,
Yeah, that's true.
so I had to read a lot of Dune.
Yeah.
So I've heard this is a pretty good adaptation.
It is. I would say that. I actually didn't finish reading Dune until after I saw the movie. Um, but it's a fairly faithful adaptation. It is visually amazing. Um, a bunch of us went and saw it on IMAX. And I would say that it is definitely a film that really does deserve the premium screen performance. Though, admittedly, after we walked out, we were all talking, and Jeff goes, "Was the screen dirty?" And then Kelly and I were like, "Yes." We're like, "Yes, it was." But it really does deserve that big screen performance because I watched it again a second time because it's still streaming on HBO Max. I watched it again on my TV here at home earlier this week, and it looks amazing on my TV because I got a nice TV. But yeah, there's something about having that visual envelop you rather than just be in front of you. To where I would advocate going to see it in IMAX or Dolby if you can.
Cool.
And I'm really glad that it's been successful because the sequel was greenlit fairly quickly. Yeah, I think it was a foregone conclusion. Remember talking to, I think it was Charles, where he was like, well, what would it take to get the sequel made? And I made the comment where I don't think it needs to be, and I think this is still the case, so I think it's been like profitable now. That I don't think Warner Brothers was waiting to see if it was profitable or not. I think they were going to take any loss as a sign of COVID and hope that they can build up enough of an audience through HBO Max that a sequel could then generate the return that they were hoping for. So where I think it would have needed to have flopped and flopped hard for a sequel not to be greenlit. And by flopped and flopped hard, I mean like if it only made like 100 million worldwide, yeah, I don't think we would get part 2. But it's surpassed that handedly. It is at least probably made back its production cost. May not have made back its marketing cost. But yeah, we do know we're getting a sequel, and I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, it's Denis Villeneuve, and I know you and I both loved, at least I think we both loved Sicario, which was him.
I do.
Then Arrival, also him, and Blade Runner 2049.
Yes.
The guy's films, I would say, a lot of people say that you need to go see, oh God, why am I blanking on his name? Like Tenet and like Dunkirk and Batman. What's his place? Christopher Nolan. I feel like a lot of people have said Christopher Nolan is like the last director you actually have to see on a big screen. And having watched Tenet on my home screen, I feel like Christopher Nolan is one of those directors who can take advantage of an IMAX, and where it does is fun on those big screens. I think Villeneuve is actually the one director out where you have to see his stuff on a big screen. Like, even more than Nolan. Like, it's because his films are just visually stunning and do take advantage of the screen real estate beyond just action set pieces.
Sure.
Which is really where Christopher Nolan stuff tends to be all about the set piece that's visually cool looking with lots of sitting around talking. Villeneuve is just, everything's like visually striking. And let's be honest, Oscar Isaac is amazing and needs to be in more things. And he even got, I think, a Star Wars reference line in the movie where he's like, basically he's talking to Paul about how as a kid he didn't want to be the Duke. And he's like, I wanted to be a pilot. And I was just like, and then in back of my head, Poe's little music is going off that da 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 da. I'm just like, okay. But like,
so
can we get more Oscar Isaac and stuff? Please? And Lucasfilm, like, just go to him and just be like, here's a bunch of money. We just want to do stuff with Poe. Like, we need more stuff with Poe. But he made an amazing Leto Atreides. So, Dune. Go see it while it's still on IMAX. I don't know if it actually is still on IMAX, but Chris, you should go see it on a big screen.
Yeah.
But, no, I
want to go see it. It was just a thing of like
time
and like I've gotten to the point where like if it's not part of this, like if it's not a movie that's part of a major franchise that like I'm fully invested in, like a Star Wars movie or a Marvel movie, I'm just like I'm not gonna like run out and grab it.
Well, I think it's a combination of like your life with like you have a kid and you have a bunch of stuff going on. I've noticed I'm in the same boat too, where it's also COVID. Like I have to really, really want to go see the thing now to go to the theater. I miss going to the theater more as much as I did in the past, but I also kind of don't miss like, it's kind of awkward now when you're sitting next to someone who you don't know. Because now it's like a whole big question of, has this person been safe? Like, are they going to wear their mask the entire movie? Like, it just, there's a whole nother level of like mental strain of going to the movie theater to where it's just like, okay, I really wanted to see Dune on a big screen to where I was willing to make that effort. But like, I love James Bond movies and I still haven't seen No Time to Die. I was really excited to see No Time to Die, but it just was like, man, I don't want to put in the effort. So I totally get that with Dune.
Yeah. Again, I have no like qualms about Dune. Like I want to go see it. It's just a thing of like COVID and time, and it's just like, man, I don't even know if we're gonna have, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because it's not the kind of film where I feel like you can at least the first time, you should not have it as background watching. Because it's also so visually stunning. Like, you don't, I don't think you want it to be background watching. But anyway, James, what did you think of it? Because you were also part of the trek to, it was a whole trek. Like, to get tickets that Friday night it opened, we had to go to Valencia to get decent tickets on the IMAX screen. Yeah.
Yeah, we had to watch it in IMAX.
Yes.
Someone insisted.
I wonder who.
And drug us all to Valencia instead of the movie theater much closer to us. No, it was good. It was, I mean, I don't know. I'd go see the second one if it was there.
High praise from James Olsen, everyone. He would go see the second one.
But I'm in the same boat as you, Chris. I'm like, if I don't have to go somewhere to see a movie, why would I do that? So.
Yeah.
Once in a while.
I guess a lot of it was I was really excited about Dune, and I really wanted Dune to succeed, even though, like I said, I hadn't read the book. I really wanted it to succeed, so there's a part of me that was just like, I really want to go see this movie. Whereas James Bond, they were just bought by Amazon. I've seen every Bond movie, so I know I'm going to see this one at some point. I can see it on my TV.
Yeah.
Like, I've never seen, like, Goldfinger on, like, on a big screen, so I'm okay.
But the Atmos!
Hey, I would totally be like, but the Atmos for Dune. Yeah, I don't know if there's even an Atmos mix for James Bond.
For Goldfinger?
Well, for Gold. Oh my god.
Atmos mono.
Atmos mono sound. Guys, it's like it surrounds you. It's like they took the same sound and they just surrounded you with it. Whoosh. But it's the same track over and over and over again from multiple directions, so it's just like really loud. But can you imagine like Shirley Bassey's Goldfinger in like in an Atmos remix? That would actually be really cool. Speaking of, like, this is kind of a tangent in that sense, but Chris, have you ever listened to like any of the spatial or Atmos music that Apple has on Apple Music?
No.
Lots of pop music is hit and miss. Like, in terms of, like, by pop, I mean, like, popular music. Like, stuff made since, like, 1950 onward. I find hit and miss, but it is honestly so great to listen to, like, the Rise of Skywalker score. They have a Atmos mix. Classical music, I think, is the best at it. Because like, having played in, like, an orchestra and bands and like in high school, it feels like you're not listening to the orchestra. It feels like you're in the orchestra, and it's just so cool. But I think that does it. I think we're caught up. We've gone through our entire show note. So, James, why don't we start rolling credits? Please like, share, subscribe, do all those fun things. But before we completely depart, today is N7 Day, which is apparently special for some people.
It is.
I don't know why. Day. I don't understand it, clearly, apparently. But we have a little surprise for you guys before we completely go away. So stay safe, take care. Because of travel going on over the holidays, we will not be back on in 2 weeks, but we will be, of course, doing at least one episode in December, and then we'll probably be back in January. So we'll let you know what the date is for December. But other than that, please stay safe, take care, get vaccinated, please, and we will see you soon.
Oh, baby.
Dude, I'm excited. We've talked about this for a while.
Yeah.
I've never played Mass Effect. Chris loves Mass Effect, and he's like, this is the Logan game.